A routine park visit turns upside down when little Theo mistakes a stranger for his father, and the man doesn't walk away. For Monica, it was just another Sunday, until fate introduced her to the one she never saw coming. Before we get into the story, comment below where in the world you are watching from today. Nia Brooks checked her watch for the 5th time in as many minutes. Her flight had been delayed for 3 hours, and now she was going to be late getting home. After spending a week in Barbados, her first real vacation in 5 years, all she wanted was to get back to her small apartment in Atlanta, take a hot shower, and sleep in her own bed. Final boarding call for Flight 1872 to Atlanta, announced. The overhead speaker. Nia grabbed her carry-on bag and hurried to the gate, joining the last few passengers boarding the plane. Finding her seat by the window, she stowed her bag and settled in, watching through the small oval window as the ground crew finished loading luggage into the belly of the aircraft. Her week in Barbados had been exactly what she needed. Time. Alone to think, to heal, to remember who she was before Derek had crushed her confidence and left her questioning her worth. The trip had been a birthday gift to herself, paid for with savings from her florist shop, Petal and Stem, which she'd opened 3 years ago after working for other people since college. As the plane took off, Nia closed her eyes. She was proud of herself for taking this trip alone. It had been a small act of courage, but an important one. 6 hours later, exhausted and eager to get home, Nia made her way through Atlanta's crowded airport to baggage claim. The carousel was already spinning when she arrived, bags of all shapes and sizes circling around. She spotted a navy blue suitcase that looked like hers and quickly grabbed it, pulling up the handle and heading for the exit. In her hurry, she didn't notice that the luggage tag had a different name on it. On the other side of the country, Cassian Roy settled into the plush leather seat of his private jet. The Los Angeles skyline disappeared beneath the clouds as the aircraft climbed to cruising altitude. His assistant, Marcus, sat across from him, reviewing the schedule for their 3-day trip to New York. The board meeting is at 9 a.m. tomorrow, Marcus said, not looking up from his tablet. Then lunch with the investors at noon, followed by the marketing presentation at 2 p.m. Cassian nodded, his face expressionless. At 32, he was one of the youngest CEOs in the lifestyle industry, having built Royce Enterprises from a small startup into a global brand in just 7 years. His success had come at a price, though. He couldn't remember the last time he'd felt truly excited about anything. Work, relationships, life in general. Everything had become a series of obligations and meetings. I'm going to review the quarterly reports, Cassian said, reaching for the navy suitcase at his feet. Make sure we're not disturbed for the next hour. Marcus nodded and moved to the front of the cabin, leaving Cassian alone with his thoughts and his work. Cassian unzipped the suitcase, expecting to find neatly folded dress shirts and his portfolio of documents. Instead, he froze. This wasn't his suitcase. Inside was a soft peach-colored scarf, folded carefully on top of summer dresses and casual clothes that definitely weren't his. A weathered leather journal with pressed flowers peeking from its pages lay next to a small glass bottle of perfume. Confused, Cassian picked up the perfume bottle. The label read Jasmine and Honey. Without thinking, he removed the cap and took a small sniff. The scent hit him like a physical force. Jasmine, honey, and something else. Something warm and real that made his chest tighten unexpectedly. It smelled like summer evenings, like comfort, like home. He set the bottle down carefully and noticed a small luggage tag on the handle that he'd missed before. Nia Brooks, it read, with an Atlanta address and phone number. Cassian should have been annoyed. Someone had taken his suitcase, which contained important documents for tomorrow's meetings. Instead, he found himself picking up the journal, running his fingers over the worn leather cover. He knew he shouldn't open it. These were someone's private thoughts, but he couldn't help flipping gently to where a pressed flower marked a page. A sketch of a small flower shop filled the page, with notes in neat handwriting about display, cases, and cooler placement. Petal and Stem expansion plan was written across the top. Underneath the journal was a slightly crumpled photograph. A woman stood on a beach at sunset, arms outstretched, face turned toward the ocean. Her curly hair blew in the wind, and even from the back, Cassian could tell she was laughing. He stared at the photo, then at the journal, then at the perfume. Something shifted inside him like a door opening in a room he'd forgotten existed. "Marcus," he called. His assistant appeared immediately. "Yes, sir?" "Someone took my suitcase by mistake. I need you to contact this woman." He handed Marcus the luggage tag, "and arrange to get my bag back as soon as possible. Of course, I'll take care of it right away." Marcus took the tag. "Would you like me to notify the airline about the mix-up?" "No," Cassian said more sharply than he intended. "Just contact her directly." After Marcus left, Cassian picked up the perfume bottle again, turning it in his hands. He shouldn't care about the woman who owned these things. She was just a stranger who had inconvenienced him. And yet, he uncapped the bottle again and breathed in the scent of jasmine and honey. Nia arrived home dragging her suitcase up the stairs to her second-floor apartment. She kicked off her shoes at the door and pulled the suitcase to her bedroom. Too tired to unpack. Tomorrow would be soon enough. Right now, she just needed a shower and sleep. 3 hours later, she woke up feeling refreshed. Stretching, she decided to unpack before heading to her shop to check on things. She'd been closed for a week, but her assistant manager had kept the place running. Still, Nia was eager to get back to her flowers. She unzipped the suitcase and froze. These weren't her clothes. Instead of her summer dresses and casual wear, she found men's dress shirts, expensive suits, and a portfolio of business documents. "Oh no," she whispered, frantically searching for any identification. She found a business card tucked into the portfolio. Cassian Royce, CEO, Royce Enterprises. Nia's heart sank. She'd taken the wrong suitcase. And not just anyone's suitcase, she'd taken the luggage of a CEO. Panic rose in her chest as she reached for her phone to call the airline. Before she could dial, her phone rang with an unknown number. She answered cautiously. "Hello? Is this Nia Brooks?" asked a polite male voice. "Yes, it is. My name is Marcus Chen. I'm calling on behalf of Cassian Royce, CEO of Royce Enterprises. It appears there's been a mix-up with Mr. Royce's luggage at the airport today." Nia closed her eyes, mortified. "I'm so sorry. I just realized I have the wrong suitcase. I was in a hurry and they look exactly alike." "No need to apologize, Ms. Brooks. These things happen. Mr. Royce would like to arrange a meeting to exchange the bags as soon as possible." "Of course, I can bring it to the airport right away." "That won't be necessary. Mr. Royce will be in Atlanta tomorrow afternoon and would like to meet you at the Four Seasons Hotel downtown at 4 p.m. if that's convenient." Tomorrow? Nia had planned to spend the day at her shop, catching up after her absence, but she could hardly refuse. 4 o'clock tomorrow works for me, she said. "Excellent. Mr. Royce appreciates your cooperation." After hanging up, Nia stared at the expensive suitcase. Why would this CEO want to meet in person? Couldn't he just send someone to pick up the bag? She hoped he wasn't planning to sue her, or something equally horrible. Her journal was in that suitcase, and her favorite scarf, and the perfume her grandmother had given her before she died. The thought of a stranger looking through her things made her stomach knot. Back on his private jet, Cassian reviewed the new marketing materials Marcus had prepared for their meetings in New York, but his mind kept drifting back to the contents of the wrong suitcase, to the woman on the beach with her arms outstretched, to the scent of jasmine and honey. "Marcus," he said, interrupting his assistant's detailed explanation of the presentation, "I need to be in Atlanta tomorrow." Marcus blinked. "Atlanta? But the board meeting, reschedule it, and the investor lunch. We're flying to Atlanta after the marketing presentation." "May I ask why?" Cassian hesitated. He wasn't entirely sure himself. "The suitcase situation. I want to handle it personally." Marcus looked surprised but quickly recovered. "Of course, I've already arranged a meeting with Ms. Brooks at the Four Seasons at 4 p.m. tomorrow." "Good," Cassian said, turning back to the marketing materials. But he wasn't seeing the glossy photos and carefully crafted text. He was seeing pressed flowers and a journal full of dreams. He was remembering what it felt like to be moved by something, by someone. The next day, Nia stood nervously in the elegant lobby of the Four Seasons Hotel, Cassian Royce's navy suitcase at her side. She'd dressed carefully in her most professional outfit, a simple blue dress with a cardigan. but still felt out of place among the wealthy guests and polished staff. At exactly 4 p.m., the elevator doors opened, and a man stepped out. Naya recognized him immediately from the photos she'd found online last night. Cassian Royce was tall with dark hair and sharp features that made him look stern and unapproachable. He wore a perfectly tailored grey suit that probably cost more than 3 months of her rent. He scanned the lobby, his eyes landing on her. For a moment, he seemed to freeze. Then he walked directly toward her, followed by a man she assumed was his assistant. "Ms. Brooks?" Cassian asked, his voice deeper than she expected. "Yes," she said, forcing a smile despite her nerves. "Mr. Royce, I'm so sorry about the mix-up. I was in a hurry, and the bags look identical and—" "It's fine," he interrupted, but not unkindly. His eyes were fixed on her face with an intensity that made her words trail off. "These things happen." An awkward silence fell between them. Nia gestured to the suitcase beside her. "Well, here's your bag. Everything should be exactly as it was." "Thank you." He nodded to his assistant, who stepped forward to take the suitcase. "And I have yours." The assistant produced her navy suitcase, setting it down beside her. "I hope nothing was damaged," Cassian said, still watching her with that strange intensity. "I'm sure it's fine," Nia replied, wondering why he was looking at her that way. Did she have something on her face? "Again, I'm really sorry about the trouble." "No trouble," he said. Then, unexpectedly, "Would you join me for coffee, to make up for the inconvenience I've caused you?" Nia blinked in surprise. "The inconvenience you've caused me?" A slight smile touched his lips. "You had to come all the way downtown to meet a stranger, when you probably had better things to do today." She couldn't argue with that, though she was puzzled by his request. Why would Cassian Royce, billionaire CEO, want to have coffee with her? Sure," she said. "Coffee would be nice." "Good." He turned to his assistant. "Marcus, take the bags up to the suite. Ms. Brooks and I will be in the lobby lounge." Marcus nodded and disappeared with both suitcases, leaving Nia alone with Cassian. "This way," he said, gesturing toward the elegant lounge area. As they walked, Nia caught a whiff of his cologne, expensive and subtle, nothing like Derek's overpowering, scent that had always given her a headache. They sat at a quiet table in the corner. A server appeared almost instantly to take their order. "Just black coffee for me," Cassian said. "Green tea with honey, please," Nia ordered. When the server left, Cassian leaned forward slightly. "So, Ms. Brooks—" "Nia, please," she interrupted. "Ms. Brooks makes me feel like I'm in trouble." That slight smile appeared again. "Nia, tell me about yourself." The directness of the question caught her off guard. "There's not much to tell. I own a small flower shop in Inman Park. I just got back from my first vacation in years." "Barbados," he said. Nia tensed. "How did you know that?" Cassian hesitated, looking almost embarrassed. "Your luggage tag had a Barbados sticker on it." "Oh, right." She relaxed slightly. "It was beautiful there, peaceful. And the flower shop, petal and stem?" Now she was definitely suspicious. "You looked through my things." It wasn't a question, but he answered anyway. "I saw the journal. I apologize. I was trying to figure out whose bag I had." Nia should have been angry, but something in his expression stopped her. He didn't look like an arrogant CEO right now. He looked like someone who had found something unexpected and wasn't quite sure what to do with it. Their drinks arrived, giving Nia a moment to gather her thoughts. She added honey to her tea, stirring slowly. "Yes, I own Petal and Stem," she finally said. "It's small, but it's mine. I opened it 3 years ago." "And the expansion plans?" She looked up sharply. "You read my journal?" "Just the page that was marked," he admitted. "I'm sorry, that was invasive." It was, but Nia found herself answering anyway. "I'm hoping to expand next year. Add a small cafe section, if I can get the financing." Cassian took a sip of his coffee, his eyes never leaving her face. "It's a good idea." "Flowers and coffee complement each other." "They do," she agreed, studying him curiously. "But I doubt you asked me for coffee to discuss my business plans." "No," he said simply. "Then, your perfume." "My perfume." "Jasmine and honey. It's unusual." Nia felt herself blush. "It was my grandmother's recipe," She used to make it herself. After she died, I found someone who could recreate it for me." "It's beautiful," Cassian said quietly. Something in his voice made Nia look up and meet his gaze, directly for the first time. What she saw there surprised her. Not the cold calculation she'd expected from a businessman, but something warmer, something almost vulnerable. "Thank you," she said softly. They sat in silence for a moment, the busy hotel lobby fading into the background. "I have a proposition." "For you," Cassian finally said. "Royce Enterprises is launching a new line of home products next month. We're looking for someone to consult on floral designs for our catalogs and displays." Nia set down her tea. "And you're offering this to me? A stranger whose bag you accidentally took?" "I've seen your work," he said. "The pressed flowers in your journal, the designs for your shop. You have talent." She should say no. This made no sense. And yet, "I'd need to know more details," she said cautiously. "Of course." Cassian pulled out a business card and handed it to her. "Think about it. Call me when you decide." Their fingers brushed as she took the card, and something like an electric current passed between them. Nia pulled her hand back quickly. Cassian stood. "Thank you for the coffee, Nia Brooks, and for returning my suitcase." "Thank you for returning mine," she replied, still confused by everything that had just happened. As he walked away, Nia stared down at the business card in her hand. What had just happened? And why did she have the strange feeling that her life had just changed in some fundamental way? Outside the hotel, she opened her suitcase to check that everything was there. Her clothes, her journal, her photograph, and on top, carefully folded, her peach scarf. She picked it up and held it to her nose. It smelled faintly of his cologne. "I've written part 1 of The Scent of Her, following your guidelines." The story introduces Nia Brooks and Cassian Royce, establishing their initial meeting through the suitcase mix-up. I've kept the language simple and straightforward, focusing on the emotional connection that begins to form between them. The narrative follows a linear timeline and establishes the key elements of your premise. Nia's vulnerability after a past, relationship, Cassian's emotional awakening upon encountering her belongings, and the beginning of their connection. 3 days passed before Nia called the number on Cassian's business card. 3 days of telling herself this was crazy, that a man like Cassian Royce didn't just offer consulting jobs to strangers, that there had to be some catch, but curiosity finally won out. Sitting in the back office of her flower shop after closing time, surrounded by the day's leftover blooms, she dialed the number. It rang twice before he answered. Cassian Royce. His deep voice caught her off guard. She'd expected an assistant to answer. "Oh, hello, this is Nia Brooks." From the luggage mix-up, a pause. "Nia, I was beginning to think you weren't going to call." Something in his tone made her heart beat faster. "I've been busy with the shop, and honestly, I wasn't sure if your offer was serious." "I don't make offers I don't mean," he said simply. "Have you decided?" Nia twirled a loose strand of hair around her finger. "I'm interested, but I'd need more information. What exactly would this consulting job involve?" "It's easier to show you than explain over the phone. Are you free tomorrow afternoon? I could stop by your shop." "Tomorrow." Nia glanced around her small, somewhat cluttered store. It wasn't fancy like the places someone like him probably visited, but it was hers and she was proud of it. "Yes, I'm free after 3. The shop closes at 6. I'll be there at 4, he said. "And Nia?" "Yes?" "Thank you for calling." After hanging up, Nia sat motionless, staring at her phone. Why did she feel like she'd just agreed to something much bigger than a business meeting? The next day, Nia found herself cleaning the already clean shop, rearranging displays, and fussing, with her appearance more than usual. She'd changed outfits twice before settling on a simple green dress that brought out the gold flecks in her brown eyes. At exactly 4 o'clock, the bell above the door chimed. Cassian Royce stepped into Petal and Stem, and the small space suddenly seemed even smaller. He was dressed more casually than when she'd seen him at the hotel, in dark jeans and a grey button-down shirt, with the sleeves rolled up to reveal strong forearms. Without a suit jacket and tie, he looked less like a CEO and more like a man. A very handsome man who was currently scanning her shop with intense interest. "Welcome to Petal and Stem," Nia said. wiping suddenly damp palms on her dress. Cassian's eyes found hers and a small smile softened his features. "It's exactly as I imagined from your sketch." She felt an unexpected warmth spread through her chest at the idea that he had imagined her shop. "Thank you. It's small, but I've put everything I have into it. It shows." He moved around the space, examining the displays of fresh flowers, the vintage cabinet she'd repurposed as a display case, the hand-painted signs. "You have a gift for creating spaces that feel like home." The way he said that last word, almost like it was unfamiliar on his tongue, made Nia curious. "Would you like something to drink?" "I have water, tea." "Water is fine, thank you," Nia went to the small refrigerator behind the counter and retrieved 2 bottles of water. When she turned around, Cassian was studying a bouquet of wildflowers. "These aren't like the arrangements in the front window," he observed as she handed him the water. "No," she agreed. "Those are more traditional. These are what I call honest flowers." "Honest flowers?" Nia smiled, relaxing a little as she talked about what she loved. "They're not perfect, they're a little wild, a little unexpected, but that's what makes them beautiful. At least that's what I think." Cassian touched one of the blooms gently. "I agree." For a moment they stood in silence, the late afternoon sun streaming through the windows, casting golden light across the shop. "So," Nia finally said, "about this consulting position." Cassian set down his water bottle and pulled out his phone. "Royce Enterprises is launching a new home goods line next month. Candles, linens, decorative items. We want to incorporate floral elements in our marketing, but our current team is producing work that feels..." He paused, searching for the right word. "Artificial?" Nia suggested. His eyes met hers and something passed between them, a moment of understanding. "Exactly. I want something real, something that makes people feel something when they see it." He showed her photos of the current designs, sleek, perfect, and utterly soulless. "They're technically good," Nia said diplomatically, "but they lack warmth." "That's what I've been trying to tell my marketing department." Cassian put away his phone. "I'd like you to redesign our floral elements for the campaign. Create arrangements that tell a story, that feel honest, as you put it." Nia's mind was already racing with ideas, but caution held her back. "I don't have experience with corporate campaigns." "That's exactly why I want you. You haven't been trained to create what's expected. You create what feels right." The conviction in his voice was flattering, but still Nia hesitated. "I'd have to continue running my shop. I can't just drop everything." "Of course, this would be part-time consulting." "You'd work directly with me, no committees, no corporate red tape." "Directly with you?" That wasn't what Nia had expected. "Don't you have more important things to do than oversee a floral design consultant?" Something flickered in his eyes. Amusement, perhaps. "I make time for things that matter." Before Nia could process what that might mean, the bell above the door chimed again. A middle-aged woman entered, glancing curiously between Nia and Cassian. "Hello, Mrs. Patterson," Nia greeted her regular customer. "Your weekly arrangement is ready." As Nia helped Mrs. Patterson, she was acutely aware of Cassian moving around her shop, examining everything with those observant eyes. When Mrs. Patterson left with her flowers, he was standing by the small desk in the corner, looking at a framed photo. "Is this your grandmother?" he asked. Nia joined him, surprised. "Yes. How did you know?" "You have the same smile." He set the frame down carefully. "She's the one who made the perfume?" "Yes. She taught me everything I know about flowers. She believed they speak a language all their own." Nia touched the frame gently. "She died 3 years ago, just before I opened this place." "I'm sorry," Cassian said quietly. He seemed about to say more, but instead asked, "Have you decided about the consulting position?" Nia took a deep breath. Every practical part of her said this was too strange, too sudden, but something else, something deeper, was pulling her toward this opportunity. Toward him. "Yes," she said. "I'll do it." The smile that spread across his face transformed him completely. For a moment, Nia glimpsed what Cassian Royce might look like if he smiled more often. "Good," he said. "We can start next week. I'll have Marcus draw up a contract." "I have one condition," Nia said, surprising herself with her boldness. Cassian raised an eyebrow. "And that is?" "Tell me why you really offered me this job. It wasn't just because you saw my pressed flowers." For a long moment, Cassian was silent, his expression unreadable. Then he picked up his water bottle, took a sip, and set it down deliberately. "When I opened your suitcase," he finally said, "I found something I didn't know I was looking for." "What was that?" His eyes met hers, direct and honest. "A reminder that there are still things in this world that can surprise me, move me." He gestured around the shop. "You've created something real here, Nia, something honest. That's rare in my world." The simple truth in his words took her breath away. "Thank you," she said softly. Cassian nodded once, then glanced at his watch. "I should go. I have a dinner meeting." "Of course." Nia walked him to the door, suddenly aware of how much taller he was, how his presence filled her small shop in a way that should have been intimidating, but somehow wasn't. At the door, he turned to face her. "I'll have Marcus send you the details. Tomorrow." "Okay." He hesitated, then added, "The perfume, the jasmine and honey. Do you wear it often?" The unexpected question made Nia blush. "Sometimes, when I want to remember her." Cassian nodded, a slight smile touching his lips. "It suits you." And then he was gone, leaving Nia standing in her doorway, wondering what had just happened and why she couldn't stop smiling. The following week passed in a blur. Nia received a contract offering far more money than she'd expected for her consulting services. She signed it after having her friend Lisa, who worked at a law firm, look it over. "This is legit," Lisa had said, sounding surprised. "But Nia, how did you meet Cassian Royce? He's like seriously rich and powerful. We just ran into each other," Nia replied, unwilling to explain the whole story. Now, as she entered the sleek downtown building that housed Royce Enterprises' Atlanta offices, Nia felt out of place, in her simple dress and cardigan. The receptionist, however, greeted her warmly. "Ms. Brooks, Mr. Royce is expecting you. Take the elevator to the top floor." The elevator ride gave Nia time to question her decision again. What was she doing here? She knew nothing about corporate marketing. And the way she'd been thinking about Cassian since their meeting at her shop, that was just asking for trouble. The doors opened directly into a large, airy office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Cassian stood by the windows, his back to her, phone to his ear. He turned at the sound of the elevator. "I'll call you back," he said into the phone, then ended the call. "Nia, thank you for coming." "This is quite an office," she said, taking in the minimalist furniture and spectacular view. "It serves its purpose." He gestured to a large table covered with samples, candles, fabric swatches, photographs. "These are the products for the new line. I thought you could get a feel for them before starting on the floral designs." For the next 2 hours, they worked side by side, Cassian explaining the concept behind each product, Nia offering suggestions for floral elements that would complement them. She was surprised by how easily they fell into a rhythm, how he listened to her ideas with genuine interest. "You're not what I expected," she admitted as they took a break. "What did you expect?" "I don't know. Someone more corporate, less willing to listen to a florist's opinions." Cassian leaned against the table, arms crossed. "And you're not what most people expect when they think of a successful business owner." "Because I'm not wearing designer clothes and barking orders into a phone." A smile touched his lips. "Because you care about the beauty of what you create, not just the profit it generates." Coming from anyone else, it might have sounded like a line, but Cassian said it simply, as a statement of fact. "Profit matters too," Nia pointed out. "My shop barely breaks even most months, but that's not why you do it." "No," she admitted. "It's not." Their eyes met, and that strange connection she'd felt in her shop sparked again, stronger this time. Cassian broke the moment first, straightening up. "Are you hungry? We could order lunch." They ate sandwiches from a nearby deli at the conference table, talking about the project but also about other things. Books they'd read, places they'd visited, their different views of Atlanta. "How long have you lived here?" Nia asked. "Just under a year. Royce Enterprises is based in New York, but we're expanding our southern operations." "Do you like it?" Cassian considered the question. It's growing on me. By the time they finished going through all the samples, it was late afternoon. I should get back to the shop, Nia said, gathering her notes. My assistant is probably wondering where I am. I'll have a car take you, Cassian offered. That's not necessary. I can take the bus. It's no trouble. Nia recognized the gentle stubbornness in his tone and gave in. All right, thank you. As they waited for the elevator, Cassian said, I'd like to see your initial design concepts by next week, if possible. I can do that. I already have some ideas. Good. He hesitated, then added, Perhaps you could present them here, say Thursday. At 4? Nia nodded, trying to ignore the flutter in her stomach at the thought of seeing him again. Thursday works. The elevator arrived, and Nia stepped in. Just before the doors closed, Cassian added, Wear the jasmine perfume. Over the next week, Nia poured herself into creating floral design concepts for Royce Enterprises. She went back to the store each night after closing, experimenting with different arrangements, photographing them, making notes. During the day, she found herself looking up whenever the bell above the door chimed, half expecting to see Cassian walking in. He didn't, but on Tuesday afternoon a delivery arrived, a sleek laptop and a note for your designs. The software is already installed. Senior called him immediately. You didn't need to do this. The contract includes necessary equipment, he replied, and I want to see your work exactly as you envision it, not limited by outdated technology. She wanted to argue, but couldn't deny that her ancient computer at the shop had been frustrating her. Thank you, but I'm adding it to the project inventory. It goes back when we're done. If you insist, he said, and she could hear the smile in his voice. By Thursday, Nia had created 5 distinct floral concepts for the campaign. She dressed carefully for her presentation, choosing a blue dress that Lisa had once told her brought out her eyes. And after a moment's hesitation, she dabbed a few drops of her grandmother's jasmine and honey perfume on her wrists and neck. The receptionist seemed to be expecting her this time. Go right up, Ms. Brooks. Mr. Royce is waiting. When the doors opened, Nia was surprised to find not just Cassian but 3 other people in the office, 2 men and a woman, all in expensive suits, all looking at her with curious expressions. Nia, Cassian greeted her, coming forward. He was back to his CEO persona in a perfectly tailored dark suit. Thank you for coming. I'd like you to meet some of our marketing team. Nia shook hands with each of them, trying not to show her nervousness. This wasn't what she'd expected. Mr. Royce has told us about your unique approach, said the woman, who'd been introduced as Victoria. We're eager to see your concepts. Nia set up her presentation on the large screen, grateful for the new laptop that made everything look professional. As she talked through her designs, she kept her focus on the work, not on the 4 pairs of eyes watching her. When she finished, there was a moment of silence. Well, said one of the men. Richard, she remembered. It's certainly different from our usual approach. It's exactly what we need, Cassian said firmly. Fresh, authentic, memorable. The production costs for these types of arrangements, the other man began, are within budget, Cassian cut him off. I've reviewed the numbers. Victoria was studying one of the images. I like the wildflower concept for the linen collection. It feels nostalgic, but not in a dated way. Nia relaxed slightly. That's what I was going for. Something that feels familiar but still fresh. The discussion continued, with Richard raising objections that Cassian smoothly countered, and Victoria offering constructive suggestions that Nia appreciated. By the end, it was clear that Cassian's opinion was the one that mattered, and he was firmly in favor of Nia's designs. We'll go with concepts 1, 3, and 5, he announced. Nia, can you have detailed specifications ready by next week? Yes, she said, relieved that at least some of her ideas had been approved. After the marketing team left, Cassian closed the door behind them and turned to Nia. The CEO mask slipped, and for a moment he looked almost vulnerable. You did well, he said. I knew they would try to water down your ideas. Thank you for defending them. Nia began gathering her materials. I wasn't expecting an audience today. I apologize for that. Victoria insisted on seeing the concepts firsthand. He moved closer. Are you upset? No, just out of my element. Cassian was close enough now that she could smell his cologne. He took a deep breath and she knew he was smelling her perfume. The thought sent a shiver down her spine. You're wearing it, he said quietly. You asked me to. His eyes darkened. I did. For a moment they stood there, the air between them charged with something Nia couldn't quite name. Then Cassian stepped back. Have dinner with me tomorrow night, he said. It wasn't quite a question, but Nia answered anyway. Why? The directness of her response seemed to surprise him. Because I want to spend time with you, away from work. Nia should say no. Getting personally involved with a client, especially one like Cassian Royce, was a bad idea. He probably dated models and socialites, not small-town florists with struggling businesses. Just dinner, he added as if sensing her hesitation. Nothing more. Nia looked up at him at the unexpected uncertainty in his expression. This powerful man who commanded rooms full of executives was waiting for her answer with what looked almost like nervousness. Okay, she said. Just dinner. The smile that lit up his face was worth the risk. Cassian sent a car for her the next evening. The driver delivered her to an address in Buckhead, one of Atlanta's most exclusive neighborhoods. Instead of a restaurant, however, the car stopped at a modern glass and steel house perched on a hillside. There must be some mistake, Nia told. The driver. No mistake, ma'am, Mr. Royce is expecting you. With a growing sense of unease, Nia approached the front door. It opened before she could knock, revealing Cassian in dark jeans and a simple white shirt. You look beautiful, he said, his eyes taking in her red dress, the nicest one she owned. You said dinner, Nia replied, not moving from the doorway. I thought you meant at a restaurant. Understanding dawned on his face. I should have been clearer. I thought you might be more comfortable away from prying eyes and cameras. He stepped back. But we can go to a restaurant if you prefer. Nia hesitated. She'd been looking forward to getting to know him better, away from the corporate setting. And the truth was she was curious about where he lived, how he lived. No, this is fine, she decided, stepping inside. But next time, be more specific. Next time, he repeated, a smile playing at his lips. I liked the sound of that. The interior of the house was just as impressive as the exterior, open and airy, with massive windows overlooking the city lights. But what surprised Nia most was how personal it felt. Art on the walls, books on shelves, a kitchen that looked actually used. This isn't what I expected, she admitted, as he led her through the house. What did you expect? Something more sterile, less lived in. Cassian laughed, a warm sound that Nia realized she hadn't heard before. I do live here despite what my schedule might suggest. He led her to a terrace where a table was set for dinner, candles flickering in the gentle evening breeze. The view of Atlanta spread out below them was breathtaking. Did you cook? Nia asked, genuinely curious. I did. He pulled out a chair for her. Don't look so surprised. I wasn't always a CEO with a staff. Over a dinner of perfectly cooked salmon and roasted vegetables, they talked, really talked. Cassian told her about growing up in a small town in Massachusetts, working his way through college, starting his company from nothing. Nia shared stories of her childhood in rural Georgia, her grandmother's flower garden, her dreams for her shop. Why flowers? Cassian asked as they lingered over dessert, a simple but delicious chocolate cake. Nia considered the question. They're honest. They bloom, they fade, they return again. There's a rhythm to them, a purpose, and they bring joy to people. She smiled. My grandmother used to say that flowers speak when words fail. Your grandmother sounds like a wise woman. She was. Nia took a sip of wine. Your turn. Why build a lifestyle empire? What drives you? Cassian was quiet for a moment, swirling, the wine in his glass. Initially, proving I could, making something from nothing. He set the glass down. Now? I'm not sure anymore. The admission surprised her. You've built an incredible company, isn't that enough? It should be. His eyes met hers across the table. But lately, I've been wondering if I've been focusing on the wrong things. Like what? Creating products. People want versus creating things that actually matter, that make a difference. He smiled ruefully. That probably sounds ridiculous coming from me. No, Nia said softly. It sounds human. Something shifted in his expression then, a softening. A vulnerability she hadn't seen before. For a moment, she saw past the successful CEO to the man beneath, a man who perhaps was more lost than he appeared. As the evening wound down, Cassian walked her to the waiting car. At the door, he took her hand, his thumb brushing lightly over her knuckles. "Thank you for coming tonight," he said. "Thank you for dinner and for sharing your story." He stepped closer, and Nia's heart raced. Was he going to kiss her? Did she want him to? Instead, he lifted her hand and pressed a gentle kiss to her palm. "Good night, Nia Brooks." The gesture was so unexpected, so intimate, that it left her breathless. "Good night, Cassian." As the car pulled away, Nia leaned back against the seat, her palm still tingling where his lips had touched. She was falling for him, she realized. Falling for a man who lived in a different world than hers, whose life was filled with board meetings and private jets and corporate decisions. A man who, despite all that, had looked at her across a candlelit table with something like longing in his eyes. What was she getting herself into? I've written part 2 of The Scent of Her, continuing to develop the relationship between Nia and Cassian. In this part, we see their professional relationship begin as Cassian brings Nia on as a consultant, and then watch as that relationship starts to evolve into something more personal during their dinner at his home. The narrative maintains the simple, straightforward language while focusing on the emotional connection growing between them. I've included key scenes that show both characters beginning to open up to each other, while also establishing the different worlds they come from. Over the next 2 weeks, Nia's life fell into a new pattern. Days at her flower shop, evenings, working on the Royce Enterprises project, and dinners with Cassian 3 times that week, twice at restaurants where they sat in private corners, and once again at his home. Each time they met, Nia learned something new about him. How he took his coffee, black, no sugar. How his voice softened when he talked about his mother who had raised him alone. How he ran 5 miles every morning, rain or shine, because it helped him think. And each time she felt herself falling, a little more for this complex man, who seemed equally fascinated by her simple life. "You're different when you're not at the office," she told him, as they walked through Piedmont Park one Sunday afternoon, coffee cups in hand. "Different how?" he asked. "More relaxed, more real." Cassian considered this. Being CEO requires a certain persona. People expect it. And what about with me? Is that a persona too? He stopped walking and turned to face her. "No, Nia, never with you." The sincerity in his eyes made her heart skip. She wanted to believe him, but doubt still nagged at her. Men like Cassian didn't usually fall for women like her. There had to be a catch. "The photo in your suitcase," he said suddenly. "The one of you on the beach, you looked happy." "I was," Nia admitted. "It was my first morning in Barbados. I'd never seen the Caribbean before. It was freeing." "Who took it?" "A woman I met at the hotel. She saw me standing there and offered." Cassian nodded, seeming pleased by her answer, though Nia wasn't sure why he'd asked. They continued walking, close but not touching, until Cassian's phone rang. He frowned at the screen. "I need to take this. It's Marcus." "Excuse me." Nia wandered, a few steps away, giving him privacy. She watched families playing frisbee, couples holding hands, dogs chasing balls, normal Sunday things. This, walking in the park with a billionaire CEO, was not normal. Yet somehow, it felt right. Cassian rejoined her, looking apologetic. "I'm sorry, but I need to go. There's an issue with the Tokyo office. On a Sunday, business doesn't respect weekends." He hesitated. "I'd like to see you again. Tomorrow?" Tomorrow was Monday, her one day off when the shop was closed. "I have errands to run. I'll come with you," Nia laughed. "You want to help me buy potting soil and groceries?" "Yes," he said simply. And that was how Cassian Royce, CEO of a global lifestyle brand, ended up pushing a cart through a garden supply store the next day, dressed in jeans and a baseball cap in a futile attempt at anonymity. "People are staring," Nia whispered as they examined bags of soil. "Let them," he replied, adding a £40 bag to their cart with ease. Later, at the grocery store, he insisted on cooking dinner for her that night. "At your place," he added. "I want to see where you live." Naya hesitated. Her apartment was small and simple, nothing like his sleek modern house. But she was curious what he would think of her space. "All right," she agreed. "But don't expect much." Her apartment was on the second floor of a converted Victorian house in a modest neighborhood. As she unlocked the door, Nia felt suddenly self-conscious. It's not much, but it's home. Cassian stepped inside, taking in the cozy living room with its mismatched furniture, the small kitchen with plants on every windowsill, the walls covered with framed botanical prints and photographs. "It's perfect," he said, and the wonder in his voice was genuine. "It feels like you." Relief washed over her. "Thank you." While Cassian cooked, a simple pasta dish that smelled amazing, Nia set the small table in her kitchen nook. The domesticity of the scene struck her. This powerful man, sleeves rolled up, stirring sauce in her tiny kitchen, looked more relaxed than she'd ever seen him. "Where did you learn to cook?" she asked, pouring wine into glasses she'd borrowed from Lisa for the occasion. "My mother taught me the basics. Then in college I worked in a restaurant kitchen to make extra money." He tasted the sauce, added a pinch of salt. "I find it relaxing, like you with your flowers." Dinner was delicious, the conversation easy. Afterward, they moved to her small sofa, wine glasses in hand. Cassian looked around her living room again, his eyes landing on a photograph of Nia with an older woman. "Your grandmother?" Nia nodded. "That was taken the day I signed the lease for the shop. She was so proud. She should be. You've built something special. It's just a small flower shop." "It's more than that," Cassian said earnestly. "It's a place where you share your passion with others, where you make people's lives better, even in a small way." He set down his wineglass. "That matters, Nia, more than you know." The intensity in his voice made her look up. He was watching her with those dark eyes that seemed to see right through her. "Why me, Cassian?" she asked softly. "Of all the women in Atlanta, in the world, why are you sitting in my apartment on a Monday night?" He was quiet for a long moment, then, "Because when I opened your suitcase and smelled your perfume, something happened." His voice was low, almost confessional. "For the first time in years, I felt awake. Awake. Like I'd been sleepwalking through my life, and suddenly someone had shaken me awake." He moved closer on the sofa. "The success, the money, the power, none of it matters if you can't feel anything, and you, Nia Brooks, made me feel something." Her heart was pounding now. "What did you feel?" Instead of answering, Cassian reached out, his hand cupping her cheek. Slowly giving her time to pull away, he leaned forward and kissed her. The kiss was gentle at first, a question. When Nia answered by sliding her fingers into his hair, it deepened, becoming more urgent. His arms wrapped around her, pulling her closer, and she melted into him, all her doubts temporarily forgotten. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Cassian rested his forehead against hers. "That," he whispered. "I felt that. That gay." Next morning, Nia woke with a smile on her face. Cassian had left late the night before, after hours of talking and more kisses that left her dizzy. He'd been a gentleman, not presuming to stay the night, though the look in his eyes had told her he wanted to. "I want to do this right," he'd said at the door, his hands framing her face. "You're not a passing interest, Nia." Now, humming to herself, she dressed for the day. The shop was closed, but she had a meeting with Cassian and the marketing team to finalize the floral designs for the campaign. Her phone buzzed with a text message. "Car will pick you up at 10. Can't wait to see you." See the sleek black car delivered her to Royce Enterprises right on time. In the lobby, Victoria from the marketing team was waiting. "Nia, good morning. The team's in the conference room on 17. Cassian asked me to escort you up." "He's not in his office." Victoria gave her a strange look. "He's in New York today, quarterly board meeting. Didn't he tell you?" Nia's stomach dropped. "No, he didn't." Victoria seemed not to notice her discomfort. "He'll be joining us via video conference. This way." Trying to hide her hurt and confusion, Nia followed Victoria to the elevator. Why hadn't Cassian told her? He was going out of town. After last night, after everything he'd said, the meeting went smoothly enough. Cassian appeared on the large screen at the head of the conference table, looking every inch the CEO in a dark suit and tie. He greeted Nia professionally, with no hint of their personal connection. "Ms. Brooks, thank you for joining us today. Your final designs are exactly what we were looking for." "Ms. Brooks?" After last night, he was back to calling her Ms. Brooks. Nia forced herself to focus on the presentation, walking the team through her final designs. They were enthusiastic, especially Victoria, who seemed genuinely impressed with Nia's work. "These will set our campaign apart," she said. "Fresh, authentic, exactly what we need to target the younger demographic." Throughout the meeting, Cassian was polite but distant. Not once did he meet Nia's eyes directly through the screen. Not once did he give any indication that just 12 hours earlier he'd been kissing her on her sofa. When the meeting ended, Victoria turned to Nia. "We'll need you for the photo shoot next week. Marcus will send you the details." "Thank you," Nia said, gathering her things. "Is Cassian, Mr. Royce, still on the line?" "No, he had another meeting." Victoria checked her watch. "He'll be back in Atlanta on Friday." Friday, 3 days away. Nia nodded, trying to hide her disappointment. "I see. Thank you for the information." Outside the building, Nia checked her phone. No messages from Cassian. No explanation for his coldness during the meeting, or for not telling her he was leaving town. Maybe last night hadn't meant as much to him as it had to her. Maybe this was just how men like him operated, all intense focus on one thing, until something more important came along. Or maybe it was all business after all, despite what he'd said. 2 days passed with no word from Cassian. Nia threw herself into her work at the shop, trying not to check her phone every 5 minutes. Lisa stopped by on Wednesday afternoon, immediately sensing something was wrong. "Okay, Spill," she said, leaning against the counter. "You look like someone stole your favorite plant," Nia sighed. "It's nothing, just man troubles." Lisa's eyebrows shot up. "Man troubles? You? Who is he and what did he do?" "No one important," Nia lied, arranging a bouquet with more force than necessary. "And he didn't do anything, that's the problem." "Ah," Lisa nodded knowingly. "The disappearing act, classic jerk move." "He didn't exactly disappear. He's in New York for business. And he couldn't send a text? It's 2025, not 1995. Nia shrugged, not wanting to admit how much Cassian's silence had hurt her. "It's fine. I shouldn't have expected anything different." "From whom?" Lisa pressed. "You still haven't told me who this mystery man is." Before Nia could formulate a vague answer, the shop door opened. A delivery man entered carrying a large, flat box. "Delivery for Nia Brooks," he announced. Curious, Nia signed for the package and set it on the counter. There was no card, no indication of who had sent it. "Well, open it," Lisa urged, as curious as Nia. Inside the box, nestled in tissue paper, was a scarf. Not her peach one, but a new one in a soft shade of blue that matched her eyes exactly. And beneath it, a handwritten note. "Nia, I'm sorry for not telling you about New York. Board meetings are scheduled months in advance, but that's no excuse. I should have told you. I've been in back-to-back meetings since arriving, but that's no excuse either. I miss you. I miss your scent. I miss your honesty. I'll be back Friday evening. Will you have dinner with me?" Cassie and Nia read the note, twice her heart fluttering. "Holy shit," Lisa whispered, reading over her shoulder. "Cassian? As in Cassian Royce? That's your mystery man." Nia snatched the note away. "It's not what you think." "It's exactly what I think. You're dating Cassian freaking Royce." Lisa's eyes were wide with shock. "How did this happen? When did this happen? And why didn't you tell me?" "Because it's new and complicated, and I'm not even sure what it is," Nia admitted, running her fingers over the soft scarf. "And I don't want to jinx it by talking about it." Lisa stared at her for a long moment. "Nia Brooks, you are full of surprises." She picked up the scarf, examining it. "This looks expensive." "It probably is." Nia took it back, folding it carefully. "Too expensive." "Are you going to have dinner with him?" Nia hesitated. The hurt of the past 2 days was still fresh, but so was the memory of Cassian's kiss, his confession that she made him feel awake. Yes, she decided, I am. Friday evening found Nia nervous as she prepared for dinner. She'd texted Cassian a simple, yes, dinner would be nice in response to his note, and he'd replied with a time and the name of a restaurant. She chose a simple black dress and, after a moment's consideration, the blue scarf he'd sent. As she dabbed jasmine and honey perfume on her wrists and neck, she tried to temper her expectations. Whatever was happening between them, it was still new and fragile. The restaurant was small and intimate, tucked away on a quiet street. When Nia arrived, Cassian was already there waiting outside. He looked tired with subtle shadows under his eyes, but his face lit up when he saw her. You're wearing the scarf, he said by way of greeting. It matches my eyes, Nia replied, not quite ready to fall back into easy familiarity. He seemed to understand her reserve. I deserve that. I handled things badly. Inside, they were led to a secluded table in the back. After they ordered, Cassian reached across the table, his hand open, inviting but not demanding. After a moment, Nia placed her hand in his. I'm not good at this, he admitted. At whatever is happening between us, my last relationship ended 2 years ago, and it was different. Different how? More transactional. More about what we could do for each other's careers than about any real connection. He squeezed her hand gently. What I feel with you is new for me. It scares me a little. His honesty disarmed her. It scares me too. Because of Derek? He asked, surprising her. How did you know about Derek? A slight flush colored Cassian's cheeks. Marcus is very thorough. When I asked him to find out who owned the suitcase, he did a basic background check. Nia pulled her hand away. You had me investigated? Not extensively, Cassian hurried to explain. Just basic public information. I was trying to understand who you were before we met. Nia wasn't sure how to feel about that. On one hand, it was an invasion of privacy. On the other hand, she'd probably have done the same if their positions were reversed. What did you find out about Derek? She asked finally. Just that you were engaged, and that he called it off a month before the wedding. Cassian's jaw tightened. And that he left Atlanta shortly after to take a job in Chicago. He didn't just call it off, Nia said, the old pain surfacing despite her best efforts. He told me I wasn't ambitious enough, that he couldn't see himself with someone who was content to just sell flowers for the rest of her life. She took a sip of water. He said he needed someone who would help his career, not hold him back. He's an idiot, Cassian said flatly. Despite herself, Nia laughed. That's one word for him. I have others, but they're not appropriate for dinner conversation. Their food arrived, temporarily halting the conversation. As they ate, Nia found her anger fading. Cassian had made a mistake in not telling her about his trip, but he'd apologized. And he'd been honest about his feelings, which was more than Derek had ever been. So, she said after a while, how was New York? Productive but exhausting. Cassian set down his fork. The board approved the new product line. Your designs were a big hit. That's good news. It is. He hesitated. There's something else I need to tell you. Nia tensed. Here it comes, she thought. The catch. The campaign launches in 2 weeks in New York. I'd like you to come with me. To New York? Nia was surprised. Why? Because you're the creative force behind the floral designs, and because... He paused. Because I don't want to be away from you again. The sincerity in his voice made her heart race. I've never been to New York. Then it's settled. You'll come. He smiled, that rare, transformative smile that made him look younger, more carefree. I'll show you the city, the real New York, not just the tourist spots. Nia hesitated. I'd need to find someone to watch the shop. I'll help. Whatever you need. His eagerness was endearing. Despite her lingering concerns about their different worlds, Nia found herself nodding. All right, I'll come to New York. After dinner, Cassian walked her to her car, his hand at the small of her back. In the quiet parking lot, he turned to face her. I missed you, he said softly. More than I expected to. I missed you too, Nia admitted, even though I was angry with you. I deserved your anger. His hand came up to touch the scarf around her neck. Can I make it up to you? Nia looked up at him, at the vulnerability in his eyes. You already have. This time she was the one who initiated the kiss, rising on her tiptoes to press her lips to his. He responded immediately, his arms encircling her waist, pulling her close. The scent of his cologne mingled with her perfume, creating something new, something that belonged just to them. When they broke apart, Cassian rested his forehead against hers. Come home with me tonight, he whispered. Nia hesitated, though every part of her wanted to say yes. I don't want to be just another conquest. You could never be that. His hands framed her face, his eyes intense. Nia, from the moment I opened that suitcase and breathed in your scent, you've been the only woman in the world for me. The words were like a key unlocking something inside her. All the fear, all the doubt, all the insecurity that Derek had left her with began to dissolve. Yes, she said softly. I'll come home with you. Cassian's house was dark when they arrived, lit only by the soft glow of the city below. He led her inside, his hand warm in hers, and for once he seemed almost nervous. Would you like a drink? He asked. Nia shook her head. No. She stepped closer to him, her hands resting lightly on his chest. Just you. His kiss was different this time, deeper, more urgent. His hands slid down her back, pulling her against him as if he couldn't get close enough. Nia responded with equal fervor, her fingers working at the buttons of his shirt. They made their way to his bedroom, leaving a trail of clothes behind them. When they finally lay together, skin to skin, Nia felt a sense of rightness that she'd never experienced before. This was where she belonged, with this man who looked at her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. You smell like home, Cassian whispered against her neck, like everything I've been searching for. Afterwards, they lay tangled, together, Nia's head on his chest, his fingers tracing patterns on her bare shoulder. Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars. Tell me something you've never told anyone, Nia said softly. Cassian was quiet for so long that she thought he might have fallen asleep. Then, I'm lonely most of the time. The simple admission broke her heart a little. Even now? No. His arms tightened around her. Not with you. She raised herself up on one elbow to look at him. In the dim light, his face was softer, more vulnerable. Why me, Cassian? There must be dozens of women who would love to be with you. Because none of them see me. They see the CEO, the billionaire, the public figure. His hand came up to cup her cheek. You see me, Nia. The real me. And you're not. Afraid to challenge me, to question me. I'm a florist from small-town Georgia. I'm not exactly in your league. Leagues are for sports, not relationships. He pulled her down for a gentle kiss. And if we're talking leagues, you're far above mine. You create beauty. I just sell things. People don't really need. That's not true. Your products make people happy. Maybe. He didn't sound convinced. But not like your flowers do. Not like you do. They fell asleep wrapped in each other's arms, and for the first time in years, Cassian slept through the night without waking even once. The next 2 weeks passed in a blur of preparation. Nia worked on final touches for the campaign while still running her shop. Cassian had helped her find a substitute manager for the week she'd be in New York, a retired florist who was delighted to get back in the game temporarily. When she wasn't working, Nia was with Cassian, sometimes at his house, sometimes at her apartment, sometimes just walking in the park or trying new restaurants. Each day she fell a little more in love with him, though neither of them had said those words yet. The night before they were to leave for New York, Cassian took her to dinner at the most exclusive restaurant in Atlanta. Nia wore the blue scarf he'd given her and a new dress, one she'd bought herself, despite his offers to shop with her. Have news, Cassian said as they lingered over dessert. Good news, I hope. What is it? The board has approved your expanded consulting contract. They want you to design floral elements for all our seasonal campaigns, not just this one. Nia's eyes widened. Really? That's... wow. You deserve it. Your work has impressed everyone. He reached across the table to take her hand. And there's more. I've been talking to some real estate contacts about spaces that might work for your cafe expansion. Cassian, you don't have to. I want to, he interrupted. I believe in your vision, Nia. I want to help make it happen. She should have been thrilled. Instead, an uncomfortable feeling settled in her stomach. Because you believe in me or because you want to take care of me? His brow furrowed. Both. Is that wrong? It depends. Nia pulled her hand away gently. I need to know that you see me as an equal, not as a project or a charity case. Nia, that's not. Derek used to make all the decisions, she continued, needing him to understand. He'd present them as opportunities, as things he was doing for me. But really, they were about controlling me, shaping me into what he wanted. Understanding dawned in Cassian's eyes. I'm not Derek. I know that. But I need to build my business my way, even if it takes longer. Even if it never becomes as big as I dreamed. She took a deep breath. I can't be with someone who sees me as a project to fix. Cassian was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded. You're right, I overstepped. I'm used to making things happen, solving problems. But your business isn't a problem to solve. He reached for her hand again. I'm sorry. The sincerity in his voice eased her worry. Thank you for understanding. I'm learning, he said with a small smile. Slowly maybe, but I'm learning. The tension broken, they returned to easier conversation, discussing their plans for New York. As they left the restaurant, Cassian's phone buzzed with an alert. He checked it, his expression darkening. What's wrong? Nia asked. Nothing important, just a notification from a news app. He pocketed the phone quickly, but not before Nia caught a glimpse of a headline with Cassian's name in it. Later that night, after Cassian had fallen asleep, Nia carefully slipped out of bed and retrieved his phone. It was wrong to snoop, she knew, but something about his reaction had worried her. The notification was still there. She opened it, her heart pounding. Business Insider, Royce Enterprises CEO Cassian Royce spotted with unknown woman. Sources say billionaire bachelor may be off the market. Below the headline was a photo of the two of them, walking hand in hand in the park the previous weekend. Nia's face was clearly visible, while Cassian's was partially turned away. With shaking hands, she opened a web browser and searched Cassian's name. More articles appeared, all speculating about his new mystery woman. One site had even identified her. Who is Nia Brooks, the florist who caught a billionaire's eye? Scrolling through, the comments beneath the articles made her sick to her stomach. Gold digger alert! She's not even that pretty. What does he see in her? Another nobody trying to climb the social ladder. Nia set the phone down, feeling cold all over. This was Cassian's world, a world of public scrutiny, of cruel speculation, of privacy invaded. Could she really be part of that world? Could what they had survive that kind of pressure? Beside her, Cassian stirred, reaching for her in his sleep. Nia slid back into bed, and his arms automatically encircled her, pulling her close. In the safety of his embrace, the fears receded a little. Tomorrow they would go to New York. Tomorrow would begin the real test of whatever was growing between them. Would their fragile connection survive in his world under the harsh glare of public attention? Or would Nia discover that some differences were too great to overcome, no matter how strong the attraction? As she drifted off to sleep, the scent of jasmine and honey mingling with his cologne, Nia hoped with all her heart that what they had found in each other would be enough. I've written part 3 of The Scent of Her, continuing to develop the relationship between Nia and Cassian while introducing new complications. In this part, their relationship deepens and becomes more intimate, but we also see the first real challenges they face. Cassian's busy schedule taking him away without warning, his tendency to try to fix things for Nia, and most significantly, the intrusion of public attention into their private relationship. The narrative maintains the simple, straightforward language while focusing on the emotional connection and growing romance. I've kept the intimate scenes tasteful and appropriate for an older audience, suggesting rather than describing explicitly. New York was everything Nia had imagined and more. Towering skyscrapers, bustling streets, an energy that seemed to vibrate through the air itself. But she hardly had time to take it all in before being swept into Cassian's world. They arrived on Sunday afternoon, the private jet landing smoothly at a small airport outside the city. A car was waiting to take them to Cassian's penthouse apartment in Manhattan. "This is where you live when you're in New York?" Nia asked, taking in the spacious apartment with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Central Park. "One of my places," Cassian admitted, setting down their bags. "I have a house in the Hamptons too, but we won't have time to visit it on this trip." The casual mention of multiple homes reminded Nia just how different their lives were. Her entire apartment in Atlanta could fit in just the living room of this penthouse. "The guest room is through there," Cassian said, pointing to a door off the main hallway. "But I was hoping you'd stay with me." He gestured toward the master bedroom. Despite having spent several nights together in Atlanta, Nia felt suddenly shy. "This is all so much." Cassian's expression softened. He came to her, taking her hands in his. "It's just an apartment, Nia. 4 walls and a roof like any other." "4 very expensive walls," she pointed out. "Does that bother you?" She considered the question. "Not the money itself, just the difference in our lives. I can't help wondering if I belong here." "You belong with me," Cassian said simply. "The rest is just details." That evening, he took her to dinner at a small Italian restaurant in the village, far from the upscale establishments where he might be recognized. Afterward, they walked the city streets hand in hand, Cassian pointing out his favorite spots, places tourists never found. In bed that night, with the city lights twinkling through the windows, Nia felt both exhilarated and overwhelmed. Cassian held her close, his breath warm against her neck. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "That this doesn't feel real," she admitted. "Being here, with you, it's like a dream." His arms tightened around her. "If it's a dream, I don't want to. Wake up." The next morning, reality intruded in the form of Marcus, who arrived at 7 a.m. with a detailed schedule for the day. "The creative team wants to meet with Ms. Brooks at 9, he told Cassian, who was already dressed in a sharp suit despite the early hour. The venue walkthrough is at 11, followed by lunch with the marketing executives. The final run-through for the launch event is at 3. Nia, still in her pajamas with a cup of coffee, felt suddenly out of place. This was Cassian's world, scheduled to the minute, full of meetings and executives. "I'll need an hour with Nia before the creative team," Cassian told Marcus. "Move them to 10. "But sir, they've already—" 10, Marcus, and we'll have lunch. Alone. After Marcus left, looking somewhat disgruntled, Cassian turned to Nia. "I'm sorry about that. Launch weeks are always hectic." "It's fine," she said, though it wasn't really. "I understand." He studied her face. "No, you don't. But that's my fault, not yours." He took her hand. "I want you to see everything this week, the good and the bad of my life, before you decide if it's something you want to be part of." His honesty touched her. "I'm already part of it, aren't I? At least for this week. For much longer than that, if I have anything to say about it." He kissed her gently. "Now, get dressed. I want to show you something before our day officially begins." Hour later, they stood on the rooftop terrace of Cassian's building. The morning sun cast a golden glow over the city, and a cool breeze carried the scent of the trees from Central Park below. "This is my favorite place in the city," Cassian said. "Up here, away from everything, I can think clearly." Nia looked out over the sprawling skyline. "It's beautiful. It can be beautiful and terrible at the same time. This city has given me everything I thought I wanted." He turned to face her. "And it's taken things too." "Like what?" "Peace, simplicity, connection." His eyes met hers. "Until I met you, I'd forgotten what those things felt like." Before she could respond, his phone rang. The spell broken, Cassian checked the screen. "I have to take this. It's the Tokyo office again." As he stepped away to take the call, Nia stayed by the railing, looking out at the city. This was his reality. Constant interruptions, demands on his time from all corners of the globe. Could she really fit into this life? Did she want to? The day unfolded much as Marcus had outlined. The creative team meeting was actually enjoyable. The designers were enthusiastic about Nia's work and treated her with respect. The venue walkthrough was more intimidating, a massive space being transformed for the launch event, with dozens of workers setting up displays and lighting. Through it all, Cassian stayed close, his hand often finding the small of her back, his eyes checking on her regularly. He was trying to make her comfortable in his world, she realized, and she appreciated the effort. That night, there was a pre-launch dinner with key executives and investors. Nia wore the nicest dress she'd brought, a deep green silk that Lisa had helped her choose. Cassian's eyes had darkened with appreciation when she emerged from the bedroom. "You look stunning," he'd said, his voice low. At the restaurant, an exclusive place where every table seemed to be filled with important-looking people, Nia tried to blend in. She smiled at the right times, made small talk, and tried not to feel like an imposter. "And what do you do, Ms. Brooks?" asked an older man who'd been introduced as one of Royce Enterprises' major investors. "I'm a florist," she said simply. "I own a small shop in Atlanta." "How quaint," the man replied, his tone making it clear he found it anything but impressive. Before Nia could respond, Cassian's arm slid around her waist. "Nia's floral designs are the centerpiece of our new campaign," he said, his voice pleasant but with a steel undertone. "Her work has been praised by everyone on the creative team." The man backtracked quickly. Of course. I look forward to seeing it tomorrow." Later, in the car back to the apartment, Nia was quiet. "What's wrong?" Cassian asked, taking her hand. "Nothing, it's just—" She hesitated. "They all looked at me like I was some curiosity." "The quaint florist you brought along as your latest project." Cassian's jaw tightened. "You're not a project, Nia." "I know that, but they don't." She looked out at the city lights passing by. "And I'm not sure I belong in that world." "You belong, wherever you want to belong." He turned her face gently toward him. "And I want you to belong with me." The simple declaration melted some of her anxiety. "I want that too. I'm just not sure how it works, practically speaking." "We'll figure it out together." His thumb brushed her cheek. "One day at a time." Back at the penthouse, he showed her how much he wanted her to belong with him, his hands and lips erasing all her doubts, at least temporarily. But in the morning, as she watched him dress for the launch day, another perfect suit, another scheduled minute, the doubts crept back in. The launch event was more elaborate than Nia had imagined. The venue had been transformed into a series of living spaces, each showcasing products from the new line, and throughout, her floral designs took center stage, wild natural arrangements that brought life and warmth to the sleek displays. "It's beautiful," Victoria from marketing told her, genuine admiration in her voice. "You've given our products a soul they didn't have." Before Cassian was in full CEO mode, moving from group to group, shaking hands, answering questions. But his eyes found Nia regularly across the room, and each time he gave her a small private smile that made her heart flutter. As the event wound down, Nia found herself cornered by a stylish woman with a press badge. "Nia Brooks, right? I'm Stephanie Chen from Style Weekly. Can I ask you a few questions about your relationship with Cassian Royce?" Nia froze. "I'm just the floral consultant for the campaign." Stephanie smiled, not unkindly. "Honey, no one believes that. You two have been photographed together multiple times in Atlanta, and the way he looks at you, that's not a business relationship." Before Nia could respond, Marcus appeared at her side. "Ms. Brooks is needed for a press photo with the creative team," he said smoothly, leading her away. "Thank you," Nia whispered. "Mr. Royce anticipated this situation," Marcus replied. "He asked me to keep an eye on you." The rest of the evening passed in a blur of photographs, congratulations, and carefully orchestrated press interactions. By the time they returned to the penthouse, Nia was exhausted. "You were amazing," Cassian told her, loosening his tie as they entered the apartment. "Everyone loved your designs." "It was overwhelming," Nia admitted, slipping off her heels. "But exciting too. I've never been part of something so big before." Cassian smiled, that rare, genuine smile that transformed his face. "Get used to it. Your talent deserves to be seen." They were interrupted by Cassian's phone ringing. Again. He checked the screen, frowning. I need to take this. It's the board chairman. As he stepped into his office to take the call, Nia wandered to the windows, looking out at the city lights. This had been Cassian's life for years. Constant calls, meetings, demands on his time. And now the press was interested in their relationship. Could she really handle this? The scrutiny, the judgments, the loss of privacy? Her phone buzzed with a text from Lisa. OMG, you're on the Society page website. Billionaire CEO's mystery woman identified. With a sinking feeling, Nia searched for the article. There she was, in a photo taken that very evening, standing next to Cassian. The caption read, Cassian Royce with rumored girlfriend Nia Brooks, a florist from Atlanta. The article was filled with speculation about their relationship, including quotes from sources close to the couple that Nia knew were completely fabricated. When Cassian emerged from his office 20 minutes later, he found her still staring at her phone. "What's wrong?" he asked, coming to sit beside her on the sofa. Wordlessly, she showed him the article. His expression darkened as he read it. "I'm sorry," he said finally. "This is my fault. I should have been more careful." "Is this what your life is always like? People making up stories about you, invading your privacy?" "Unfortunately, yes." He set the phone down. "It comes with the position. Usually I ignore it, but I understand if it's too much for you." Nia was quiet, thinking, that reporter tonight, she was going to ask me about us. "I know. That's why I asked Marcus to keep an eye on you." Cassian ran a hand through his hair, a rare gesture of frustration. "Nia, I can't promise this won't happen again. Being with me means dealing with this kind of attention sometimes." The honesty in his voice touched her. He wasn't trying to sugarcoat the reality of his life. "I need to think about whether I can handle that," she said finally. "It's a lot to process." Cassian nodded, his face solemn. "I understand." That night, for the first time since they'd become intimate, they slept without touching, a small space between them that felt much larger than it was. The next day was their last in New York. Cassian had meetings in the morning, but he'd promised to take the afternoon off to show Nia more of the city. She spent the morning alone in the penthouse, thinking about everything that had happened, everything she'd seen of Cassian's world. By the time he returned, she had made a decision. "Let's go for a walk," she suggested. "I need some fresh air." They walked through Central Park, the early spring sunshine warming the day. Neither spoke much, both aware that something important was hovering between them. Finally, on a quiet path away from the crowds, Nia stopped. "I've been thinking about us, about whether this can work." Cassian's face was carefully neutral, but she could see the tension in his shoulders. And I'm scared," she admitted. "Your world is so different from mine. The press, the constant demands on your time, the expectations people have, it's a lot to take on." He nodded, waiting for her to continue. "But then I think about how I feel when I'm with you, how you see me, really see me, in a way no one else ever has." She took a deep breath. "And I think maybe the differences don't matter as much as what we've found together." Hope flickered in his eyes. "What are you saying, Nia?" "I'm saying I want to try. I can't promise I'll always be comfortable in your world, but I want to be with you enough to try." The smile that spread across his face was like the sun breaking through clouds. He pulled her into his arms, holding her as if she might disappear. "I've been so afraid you'd decide I wasn't worth the complications," he whispered against her hair. She said simply. "You make me feel brave, Cassian, brave enough to take this risk." He pulled back to look at her, his eyes intense. "I love you, Nia Brooks. I think I've loved you since I first smelled your perfume and felt something wake up inside me." The words sent a wave of joy through her. "I love you too. Even when you drive me crazy with your controlling tendencies and your constant phone calls." He laughed, a free, happy sound that made passers-by smile. "I'm working on those. And I'm working on believing I deserve someone like you." "You deserve more," he said seriously. "But I'm selfish enough to want you anyway." They walked back to the penthouse hand in hand, making plans. Cassian would spend more time in Atlanta. Nia would occasionally join him in New York. They would take it one day at a time, learning to navigate each other's worlds. That night, as they packed for their return to Atlanta, Cassian disappeared into his closet. He emerged with a small gift box. "I was going to wait, but I don't want to," he said, handing it to her. Inside was a small glass bottle, similar to the one that had been in her suitcase, but this one was etched with her name and filled with a familiar golden liquid. "Your perfume," Cassian explained. "I had it analyzed and recreated exactly. Now you'll never run out." Tears pricked Nia's eyes as she opened the bottle, the scent of jasmine and honey filling the air. "My grandmother's perfume. I know how much it means to you." He sat beside her on the bed. "And how much it means to me now? It's the scent of the woman I love, the scent that led me to you." Nia set the bottle carefully on the bedside table, then turned to him, her heart full. "Thank you, not just for this, but for everything. For seeing me. For changing because of me. You've changed me in all the best ways," he said, pulling her close. "You've made me feel alive again." As they fell asleep in each other's arms, Nia thought about the strange twist of fate that had brought them together. A simple mix-up of suitcases that had changed both their lives forever. 3 months later, Nia stood in her flower shop, putting the finishing touches on a special arrangement. The shop looked different now, expanded into the space next door with a small cafe area, just as she'd always dreamed. But she'd done it her way, with a small business loan she'd qualified for on her own merits, not Cassian's money. He'd understood why that was important to her, even if it had taken some explaining, just as she'd come to understand his need to check his phone during dinner sometimes, or the occasional paparazzi photo that appeared online. They were learning each other day by day, compromise by compromise. The bell above the door chimed and Cassian walked in, looking more relaxed than he had in the early days of their relationship. He'd delegated more responsibilities at work, giving himself time to actually live his life. Time to be with her. "Ready for our trip?" he asked, kissing her cheek. They were leaving for Barbados that afternoon, returning to the place where Nia had found her courage, where their story had unknowingly begun. Almost. Just finishing this arrangement for Mrs. Patterson. Cassian looked around the shop at the thriving business Nia had built. "I'm proud of you, you know, for doing this your way. Thank you for letting me." She smiled up at him. "Even though I know it nearly killed you not to just write a check," he laughed. "I'm learning patience. It's a new skill for me. You're doing very well." She finished the arrangement and stepped back to admire it. "There, now I'm ready." As they left the shop, Cassian took her hand, lifting it to his lips in that gesture that still made her heart skip. "I have something for you. For the trip." Outside, next to his car, was a brand new suitcase, navy blue, just like the one she'd mistakenly taken that fateful day. "I thought it was time to replace the old one," he said. "With some better memories." Nia smiled, touching the sleek new luggage. "The old one brought me to you. I'm kind of attached to it now." "Keep it for sentimental reasons," he suggested, "but use this one for our trip." There was something about the way he said it that made Nia suspicious. "Did you put something in it? Already?" A smile played at his lips. "Maybe." Later, as they prepared to board Cassian's private jet, Nia finally had a chance to open the new suitcase. Inside, nestled among tissue paper, was her peach scarf, the one that had been in her suitcase the day they met, and beneath it a small velvet box. Her heart pounding, Nia lifted the box and opened it. Inside was a beautiful ring, simple yet elegant, with a diamond that caught the light like a drop of water. "Cassian," she breathed, turning to find him watching her with love in his eyes. "I was going to wait until we got to Barbados," he said. "Do it properly on the beach, but I'm not very patient, remember." He took the box from her trembling hands, removed the ring and dropped to one knee right there on the tarmac. "Nia Brooks, you changed my life the day I opened that suitcase and breathed in your scent. You woke me up, made me feel again, showed me what really matters." His voice was steady, his eyes never leaving hers. "Will you marry me?" Tears blurred Nia's vision as she nodded. "Yes, yes, I will." As he slid the ring onto her finger, then stood to kiss her, Nia thought of her grandmother's words. "Flowers speak when words fail." But sometimes scent spoke even louder. the language of memory, of comfort, of home. And for Cassian and Nia, the scent of jasmine and honey would always be the beginning of their story. The scent that had led him to her, across an airport mix-up, across their different worlds, to this moment of perfect certainty. "I love you," she whispered against his lips. "I love you too," he replied, more than any words could say. But the words weren't necessary. The scent of her perfume mingling with his cologne said everything their hearts needed to hear. That evening, as the sun set over the Caribbean, Cassian and Nia walked hand in hand along the same beach where her photo had been taken months before, the one he'd found in her suitcase, the one that had given him a first glimpse of her joy. "It feels like coming full circle," Nia said, looking out at the waves. "Not a circle," Cassian corrected gently. "A beginning." He pulled something from his pocket. Her journal, the one that had been in the suitcase, the one with pressed flowers marking the pages. "I thought you might want this for our trip," he said, handing it to her. "To plan our future together." Nia opened the journal to where a fresh jasmine blossom marked a blank page. "What did you have in mind?" Cassian smiled, that transformative smile that still made her heart race. "Something beautiful, something honest, something that's ours alone." As the last light faded from the sky, Nia breathed in the scent of the ocean, of jasmine, of the man who had found her through a simple twist of fate, and the scent of her perfume. She knew with absolute certainty that whatever future they wrote in those pages would be more wonderful than either of them had ever dreamed. The end.